How would this help CSIS, looking at people outside of the main suspects?
Well, I mean, you can establish the way that a suspect orders their day. Like, I mean, if you're going to be surveilling someone, you want to know where they are and who they're talking to, because if you want to scoop them up or you want to know if they're going to go somewhere else, that you can alert different units. So essentially, it's a way for them to track suspects.
Why is it worrisome that CSIS was doing this and holding on to it?
Well, first they were storing stuff from who were connected to suspects that they were investigating. So it was friends and family of potential terrorists.
So innocent people, essentially.
Innocent people who they were storing, likely, who they were talking to on their phones, at what times. Because metadata, I mean, or as they put it, accessible data is a lot of different things. It can mean a lot of things. But generally, it's like if I text you a bunch of times in the night, they'll see that I'm texting you, they'll see what time you're replying to me. So it's essentially you can map out someone's social existence and know exactly what they're doing at any point in the day, because as we know, everyone lives their lives on their phones and their computers.
People will look and say, well, there were people who were around a suspect, it's no big deal, but why should the average person walking down the street right now be worried?
Well, it's the classic argument people say. It's like, well, I'm not doing something wrong, but I guarantee you, any person you've ever met who uses the internet breaks the law on the internet constantly. So it's one of the old adages. Like, I mean, you're not a problem now, but what if you become a problem and they can use it as leverage against you?
Do you think this is the tip of the iceberg here? Is there more? Or?
I think there's definitely more. We don't know the scope of, Canadian signals intelligence surveillance, especially when it comes to something like CSIS, which is a traditionally extremely covert, secret organization that a lot of reporters don't even really know a lot about.
Does this trickle down, you think, to other police forces? Were they doing this?
Absolutely. I think if you look, I mean, this week, there was revelations that a journalist was being spied on using spyware by I believe the SPVM in Quebec. I mean, I know from my own reporting, there are tons of police forces across Canada and the US who are buying up spyware, buying up different surveillance tools, and nobody really knows about it because there's no real controls on what they can do and what they can't do.
Now, CSIS has said they've stopped, but they haven't said what they're going to do with the data, and do you think they've stopped?
Well, they say they stopped, but they're not going to get rid of the data until they've done a review or something to that effect. I mean, if you look at the United States as a precedent, for all my connections and interest inside of espionage and spy agencies, I don't see them destroying data that they see having benefited them in the past for their own intel operations. It just seems kind of absurd to me. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they'll be held account. And that's another interesting thing, is that people are saying, well, this is the point. We have to start having watchdogs for these agencies. It can't just be kind of this loose, watchdog that's in place right now. It needs to be very firm and very, very serious. And people need to take this more seriously.
Who watches the watchers?
Who watches the watchers, yeah.
Ben, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Ben Makuch from Viceland Cyber Wars talking about the revelation today that CSIS had been illegally collecting and analyzing data on innocent people. They now say they have stopped. For more on this, go to our website, citynews.ca.